looks like we still got some more anime to talk about. First impressions wise, we're gonna do 3 today. I've got Akuma no Riddle, Ping Pong the Animation, and Soul Eater Not. We're gonna talk about, we'll do Akuma no Riddle, because I actually just got done watching the 2nd episode of that one. I wanted to give it its due desserts, just in case it turns into something else. My first impression of Akuma no Riddle was just whatever. Like, I didn't really care about what was going on. Because not a lot was going on in the first episode. You meet your main character. It's about an assassin, female assassin, little girl, female assassin. And she meets up with her target, and oh no, she starts having feelings for her target. Have we heard of this story enough times before? But then as it turns out, like, the class that they are in school, literally every student in that class is also an assassin that's trying to kill the same girl. And of course they're all girls, because plot, that's what we needed. So she ends up turning around and being like, and actually trying to defend her. Yeah, so it's a little lesbian. I'm not against that kind of thing or anything like that. I just didn't know that going into it. So once it kicked in, like, oh, she's having feelings. Then I was kind of like, oh, okay, gotcha. It just kind of took me by surprise. But the thing I had a problem with was that it's basically the whole show. It's just catty bitches being catty bitches. That's the whole show. Even after having watched the 2nd episode, they do the thing where all the other assassins have one character trait, and that's it. That's their whole personality. There's nothing else to it. Even then, I get them mixed up because there's so freaking many of them. There's so freaking many of them. A couple of them have pretty much the same personality as a few of the others, so they're interchangeable. It feels very stock. And they're all just being very like, oh, well, as you know, and blah, blah, blah. Well, again, catty bitches just being catty. Another thing that bothered me was just how hard it was trying, and yet, at the same time, it was failing so hard. It was almost kind of, embarrassing a little bit, because they're trying really, really hard to be cool and hip and edgy with tilting the camera just a little bit. And coloring everything, like just wiping the screen with red, and doing close-up shots of girls grinning, like that's supposed to, that's foreboding, is when girls grin and give a little cackle in red. But it's like, I've seen this so many times before, a lot. It was at one point, I'm pretty sure it's the 1st episode. There's literally a girl, just bathing and just having a bath, but again, because they wipe the screen red to be cool, it looks like blood. It's like, yawn. So, Akuma no Riddle, I was looking forward to it, because I like that kind of premise of, like a gauntlet type thing, where it's one going down a line, it's one person fighting down a line of other super beings like them. I'm a sucker for that, I'll admit it. But Akuma no Riddle, considering how many shows that have come out in this season, you really gotta do something different, enticing, to snatch people's attention, make them be like, okay, yes, this is the one I'm gonna follow up on. This is the one I'm gonna invest in. And Akuma no Riddle has nothing. It's not even outright bad. It's just, it does nothing that merits any kind of extra devotion of your time. So out goes Akuma no Riddle, boring catty bitches being catty. The other one I watched was Soul Eater Not. This one was a little more infuriating. Well, maybe not infuriating, it's a strong word, but I mean, it's definitely not Soul Eater. I bet I'm the first person that ever come up with that joke ever in the entirety of the internet. The first Soul Eater series was fun. I liked it just fine. I lost interest after they quote-unquote killed Medusa the first time. Granted, the villain, that first series, a ongoing problem was that none of the villains are very interesting or even that intimidating or compelling. But it felt like the characters ran out of things to do after that first arc, after they supposedly killed Medusa the first time. After that, it kind of dropped in quality in a lot of ways. But it was still a fun show. It was still pretty good. Especially the style. Like, holy crap, the animation stays consecutive. I have never seen a show. Well, rarely do I see an anime show. Not only were the show's animation matches the quality of the intro, but like it stays consistent that way the whole way through. There was never an episode that looked bad. It always looked like the exact same thing. Now we have Soul Eater Not, which I think is a prequel or something. It has to be a prequel because there are characters that are alive in here that are dead in the actual like Soul Eater show, or they're more human than they were in that series. So it has to be a prequel of some kind. But the style has been completely wiped clean, and now it looks like every other anime that you see. Like, there's nothing distinctive about it whatsoever. Visual appeal has definitely gone down. I don't know if it's a money thing, if it was a style choice, maybe the manga's like that. I don't care, because it's not nearly as interesting. We also, Soul Eater Not is one of those shows where I don't like anybody. Or, like, I don't get anybody. The main girl especially, because she doesn't act like a human being. In the intro, the first few minutes, she discovers by accident that she is actually a weapon. She is a person that can transform into a weapon. But when she finds out, literally her reaction is, huh? What's this? Considering the fact that her leg just turned into, like, part of a halberd lance, shouldn't your reaction be a little bit more, I don't know, extravagant? Maybe some sense of urgency and confusion and frustration and panic because your leg just turned into a blade. But no, she just kind of like, oh, whatever. And then later she climbs up the stairs to the school, and she gets to the very top, and she's standing on kind of like the last, like the top 3 stairs, and she drops to her knees and just like falls flat, like face first on the top of the stairs, and she's wearing a skirt. I'm sorry, I don't know much about girls, but I know that there is not a girl alive that while she's knowingly wearing a skirt would just bend over like that for all the world to see. Like, no one acts like that. It also doesn't even seem to fit into the Soul Eater lore. Like, it doesn't make sense with the first series. In the first series, so Soul Eater is about kids that can fight, kids that can turn into weapons. They go to this school together and they learn to fight evil. Got it. Don't need much more explanation than that. And then now there's Soul Eater Not. And this girl who just learned she can turn into a weapon, instead of just having the show, when she finds out, instead of just cutting from that to her arriving at the school, they have a whole, like, they show the transportation of getting there as if it's like a real geographical, realistic location. And I didn't need to know that. There's a whole thing like she's waiting, and you hear in the intercom, now boarding the flight that takes you to Death City in America. And I'm like, there's an airline to Death City? Why would America if this is supposed to, they're really trying to be like, oh, airlines, that makes it more realistic. It's like, okay, if it's realistic, there's no way in hell America would let that kind of thing happen. America flips out when you bring, like, potato in with you from another country. You think they're gonna let literally a walking weapon onto an airline? Especially a walking weapon that is unstable and is coming. The whole reason she's going there is to learn to master her power. There's no way they're gonna let that happen. And I don't want to hear in the comments, I don't want to hear, oh, well, the airline doesn't know that they're transporting, people that turn into weapons. They're taking them to Death City. The whole purpose of Death City and the school is to teach weapons how to control their powers. they know what's going on. They know why they're flying there. They wouldn't have set up an airline if they didn't know why. It just that not only does that not make sense in Soul Eater Not, but it also just creates plot holes in the first one. Why, if there is an airline that just flies you straight to Death City, why did Justin walk the entire way to the Death Weapon Meister Academy in the first series? Like, none of it makes any fucking sense anymore. God damn. And it's not like you can just pretend the other series doesn't exist, because they throw cameo after cameo at you to just remind you, like, hey, you like Soul Eater, right? You like these characters, right? Like our show, please. Soul Eater Not fucking sucked. I regret every single second that I spent watching it, because it made a show I already like a little less special. But speaking of special, let's talk about Ping Pong, the animation. As of right now, there's not really much of a story. It's just, it was build up. It was building up, it's introducing the characters, it's establishing the characters. Whoa, foreign concept. Establishing the characters, and again, we get a sense of kind of a rival, quote unquote, from another country. Ping Pong is a weird show to talk about. The animation style is very avant-garde, to say the least. I mean, anime already is a very visually stylistic medium, and now we've got Ping Pong the animation, which even more so. Just, it looks unfinished, but in a very charming kind of way, like in an Aqua Teen slash Shin. Nah, I wouldn't say Shin-Chan. Shin-Chan was surreal parody. This isn't quite surreal, because it is still taking place in a world that's grounded in reality. But I guess charming is probably the word I would stick with it as in terms of the animation. I feel like it's building up toward, it's going to be setting up the overarching plot as we go along, which is fine, because I get the characters, and I think that's, especially from what I understand about sports anime, that's probably going to be the most important aspect. It's so weird to refer to Ping Pong as a sport. I think the only real, like, quote-unquote gripe that I have, I don't even know if I would call it a gripe, but just something that I noticed that I didn't like as much as the rest of the show, of the episode, was that the intro plays a lot of the same, like, 5-second clips over and over again. And they're all things that I would have liked to have seen just played out naturally in the show. So if you want to try and point out to the show, like, oh, it's cutting corners and things, you might be able to get me to agree that they cut corners in the intro, but nowhere else. Out of those three, Ping Pong the animation is the one that I would recommend, because it's the one that tries the hardest at something different. Different is what impresses, not repeating the same shit over and over. Like Akuma no Riddle, and it's not throwing cameos at your face and screwing up other shows like Soul Eater Not. So that's what I would recommend. You can, by all means, check it out. I think it's on Funimation's side. I don't think Crunchy has it, but you can watch it. Let me know what you think of it, and I will probably be back with just a few more of these, because again, so many shows have come out this season. I'm not even going to try and do them all. I'm just going to touch on maybe like 3 more. I'll probably do 1 more video, more shows, and then I'm going to call it good. Because this will get ridiculous. If I keep going at this pace and I do every single show, it's going to overlap into the next season. So, fuck it. There you go, guys. Cool. I will see you next time. Bye.